This summer, I have been making and selling granola at our local farmers market. Why granola? Well, it really fits the vibe of our farmers market. No one else is selling it, and it doesn't expire or go bad quickly. Before even beginning to make my granola and figure out recipes, I first submit my application fee to the farmers market. I didn't want to put in all of the work of figuring out if this was going to work or how to make it unless I first got accepted, and that cost was $40. Once I was accepted into the farmers market, I had to get my food handler's permit and my cottage permit. And in order to get my cottage permit, I had to spend money buying ingredients to practice. I had to get packaging and labels. So I had a bunch of money spent by the time we even got to our first market. So finally, I was at my first market, and well, before I could go to my first market, I had to get more supplies and ingredients. I had some left over from practicing, but I needed more, and I needed things like parfait cups. And then I had these little carts that I had made for my wedding. And so I used those as my booth. However, I had to fix them up a little bit, so that cost some money as well. And then the day of the market, I bought some berries from a local vendor at the market to top my parfaits with. That day, I ended up making $207. And so I was like, okay. And so I went ahead. I hadn't paid my booth fees yet. And so it was 14 weeks that I paid for. So that was $770. Market number 2 called for some new ingredients and some new supplies. And this day I closed shop early because I had a family vacation. And so I only did half day, and I thought that that would be fine because I assumed that I would make $100. But I actually ended up only making $55. So that was a little disheartening, but I learned from that. I learned that I needed to do my full setup. I tried to cheat and do only half setup, but people just missed me, like weren't seeing me as they were walking by. So learned a lot from that one, got ready for the next week. My third market, I had to buy more supplies. I also learned that people don't want to buy like 2-pound bags of granola. So instead of doing 1 pound and 2-pound bags, I did half-pound bags and 1-pound bags. And then that third market, I made $204 and was pretty much sold out by 12:30, which the market goes from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So like just a little bit more than half the day, and I was sold out. Well, the next week I needed more supplies, and I made $160, and I was kind of like, oh, bummer. But, still I was making back what I needed to. I was like, okay, if you keep this up, I'll still be good. And the next week I spent more on supplies, and then I made $143. So I was like, oh man, well, hopefully it's just like a one-time bad week. Well, last week I had to buy some more supplies, and I again made only $143. So I'm kind of I'm just breaking even now with what I'm making with these last 2 weeks. There's been way less people, and we're kind of finishing the summer, and now we're kind of transitioning into the fall. And so I wanted to give some of my takeaways with this experience so far. Number 1, I've learned that you've got to have a big display that stands out. A lot of people say that mine is really cute and they really like it, but they miss it if I don't have both carts there. Number 2, I do little free samples, and I have learned that as fun as that is, very few people use samples to help them with their buying process. Most people will grab a sample, say thank you, and walk away before even tasting it. So it's not like they're eating it to see if they want my granola. They're just coming by for a free sample. I've learned that at my market, cheap and small is better for people rather than expensive and big in general. And then I've also learned to keep it simple. So many people come up for the parfaits and they're like, hey, I just want those parfaits. And then I'm like, okay, which flavor do you want? And they're like, oh, there's different granolas to choose from. Whereas if I just had one granola and it was just like I was just pumping out parfaits real quick, and easy, I think that would do better. But I am worried about it picking up in the fall. So I'm considering seeing about getting a refund for my booth fees, but then I would for sure lose money with what I, have spent on supplies, and I still haven't taken into account sales tax. Our grocery bill has been lowered though because we eat the leftover granola and yogurt, and when I have leftover berries, we use them to make jam and blueberry muffins. But that's been my experience so far. So what do you think? Should I do the fall months or call it good?